Hi, I am Daigo, a future game developer, and today we're on part 2 of Fighting is Combat's development. Now we'll animate and add the attacks, and in this game I'll add 3 types of punches, weak, medium, and strong.
I'd like to clarify that in the game or in the code I'll use initials for each hit. Weak is GD, medium GM, and strong GF. For now, I'll keep the idea that each character's move is a reference to one of the games. And I also want to let you know that at the end of the video, we'll discuss the project's new name. Povese Yesisai. We're changing Fighting is Combat to a different name, so I recommend you stay until the end. Now I'll start the animations, first with the weak hit, which is the attack with the least damage. The name says it, this one needs to be fast to make up for it. The first idea that came to mind was to use Freddy's attack animation in Snack World, moving his hand up and down quickly, at one point looking like a real bear swipe, so I think I can give it extra points for that, but I wasn't very sure how many frames to add. Eso sa 60 de tieta sinatavtahted. From what I saw, for balanced characters like Freddy, the suggested frame rate is 15. By the way, if you don't know what a frame is, it's the number of images shown in 1 second. Modern fighting games run at 60 frames, meaning this hit lasts a quarter of a second, even though it seems that way to us, because in Blender it's much slower than usual. In Godot it goes 800, it goes faster, in fact. Too fast, so much so that the animation cannot be properly appreciated. I tried adding 5 more frames to make it 20, I would even improve the animation to make it look more fluid and resemble a real punch, but there wasn't much difference. Though it's not as bad as it looks to you now, I forgot to set Filmora to 60 FPS. But the real problem is this animation is too complex for so few FPS. To make the weak hit, I'd need a completely different, more direct animation. For this, Freddy would use a quick lead hand strike, a fast attack that only uses 15 frames. Though not a game reference, it works well as a weak attack. I'd also consider its attack frames and recovery. Every attack animation in a fighting game is divided into 3 parts. First, the wind up, where the character charges or gets ready to strike. Second, the attack itself. Third, recovery, where the character returns to normal. These 3 phases give rhythm and are key for a strike to feel real and play well. The first 5 frames of a weak hit would be for the preparation. For frame 10 is the impact, the last 5 for recovery to its neutral pose. I'd make it a sprite, importing it to Godot. I wanted to see how it played out in game, so I'd create a weak hit node, calling it GD. Then I'd go to settings, input map, where I can configure the keys to control the character. I'd already created several actions for character mobility from the previous video. W for jump, A for going left, B for going right, and S for crouching. And for the weak punch, I'd use J since I find it the most comfortable option. I will create the script for the node and then I'd program the hit, executing the animation. Well, ChatGPT actually did it, but I asked it to, so it's practically the same thing. I ran the game, and it really looks good. I like it, and as a test it's fine. Now I'd move on to the mid hit, and obviously I wouldn't waste the slap animation. I'll just tweak a few small things, increasing the attack frames to 30 now, which is double the weak hit and half a second. The first 10 frames are the preparation, making Freddy raise his hand all the way up, and at frame 15 he lands the blow. But the attack animation concludes at frame 20, and the remainder would be the recovery. The minor changes made it lose some resemblance to the original, making it harder to recognize, but I loved how it turned out. It's my favorite animation so far. To perform the in-game attack, I'd use the key next to the weak hit, which is K. Now for the strong hit. I'd made an animation where Freddy hit with his mic hand. Though I liked it, I'd change it, as I wanted at least 2 of the 3 animations to be a reference. See ya. So now it's done. Instead of throwing a punch, this one would bite, opening its mouth with its own hand to the point of almost breaking its jaw, then slamming it shut. This refers to the image that might appear on camera to be like a hallucination. When I imported the animation into Godot, I'd used the L key to strike, which looked good, but mechanically, I'm not sure how useful it is, as it's very slow and lacks range, so maybe I'll modify it later to fix these issues or make it deal a lot of damage. Since it's the strongest hit of the 3, it also has to be slower, at 45 frames, lasting as long as the other 2 combined. It also needs the most prep, requiring over 30 frames to land, maybe too many. All these animations are just tests, I'll change them soon. Mana. We'll continue with jumping and crouching attack variants, starting with the latter. I'd already made a test animation, but it didn't look good and looked like anything but a punch, so I'll redo it. This time delivering a straight punch with the lead hand, like the standing double punch, using only 15 frames. This time I won't be so descriptive about where the startup frame ends or where recovery frames begin, as it's normal for these things to be modified during development for character balance reasons. The result was fine.
But when I moved the animation to Godot, a problem arose. When it runs for just one frame, a millisecond, the neutral animation is visible, which is visually annoying. I tried all day to fix this, but couldn't, so to avoid getting stuck, I'll continue with the other animations.
The crouching punch allowed the hit with the mic holding hand. While it looked fine, I wanted the punch to be more iconic for the character, not just a generic strike, so I had him remove his hat and strike with it. Though he never did this in-game, he did in some official posters. It actually suits the character well, a good idea but not perfectly executed. It wasn't necessarily horrible, but it lacks impact.
Still, I prefer this over a generic punch. In the future, I'll see how to improve this animation. The strong hit was just a bite, nothing really remarkable.
Again, I repeat, this is just for testing, to program the actions in the game. None of this will be in the final result. Now I'll have to move on to the aerial attacks. The double attack is always easier to plan and execute. It's a quick, direct slide downward jab. When I ported it to Godot, I thought I'd have the same extra frame issue as the crouch attack. But no, that problem seems exclusive to the crouching animation, so I'll have to investigate that. However, while there were no graphical errors, there were mobility issues as the character remained still after an attack.
So dito na ako sa siyang mga pasensuna. Nukas, if we jump forward, the character would stop and fall abruptly, not following the jump's path. This happens by forcing X and Y velocity to 0, which freezes the natural mobility of the jump.
I just deleted an unnecessary line of code and let Godot's physics engine do all the work, fixing the problem. But when I created the mid-punch animation, which is a back-arm punch, this time I'd use 25 instead of 30 FPS to make it faster.
If the attack animation doesn't finish, it looks like Freddy is floating for a few frames. So to fix this, when Freddy falls to the ground, his attack animation is cancelled, regardless of whether he already hit or was about to, giving a better feeling of transitioning from aerial to ground attacks. The heavy attack animation is a kick. Why?
Because yes, you see no why not Osia. Okay, as I repeat, these are test animations, and in the final result, they'll be completely replaced. Another thing, all aerial attacks share the same code. I literally just copied, pasted, and changed one letter.
Isham for JFA example, that's all. I could make these actions work in one script, but I'm too lazy. I'd already finished the attack code, but before ending the video, I decided to fix the crouch hit and ghost frame issues. I thought I'd fix it in another video, but using my above average IQ, I had the brilliant idea to ask ChatGPT, and it gave me a quick solution.
I got a new script there for the crouch animation. This new code forces the animation to jump to the last frame, avoiding Freddy's frame. Though it was a good fix, Freddy now skips the crouch animation. I mean, I fixed one bug, but created another. I told the AI about this, and it explained the bug occurs because after the attack, the code auto-returned to crouching. But entering that state always replayed the animation from the start, when he was still standing, so it looked off for one frame.
GPT already gave me a code to modify the crouch script and its attacks, so that only the last frame of the crouch animation is shown, completely solving the problem, and now all three crouch animations work perfectly. Now that we've solved the animation problem, we can move on to the game's new name. In the last video I noticed many of you asked me to change the name, saying you didn't quite like 5S Combat. Many options were recommended, and my favorite was from user Showtime, which I'm sure you'll all love too. And this would be Fazbear Fight, referring to the horror attraction from Five Nights at Freddy's 3 or the Fazbear Fright book series. The only thing I'd change are the S's at the end, which I think are unnecessary.
So, Fictas and the project will now be called Fazbear Fight. I've already made the game jolt page with this name, but what do you think of the new name? Does it grab your attention, or should I change it again?
I will read them in the comments. If you liked the video, but for some reason missed part 1 where I began developing this game, here's the playlist with all the videos from development to the first, including future uploads. You also have the subscribe button to support the project. I recommend you press it.
With nothing else left to say,
Ciao!